Jason Momoa and Amber Heard's lack of chemistry reduced her role in Aquaman 2, her agent says. Now,
I feel like that's just what they have to say.
It kind of makes sense that the agent kind of has to. But is that better or worse? Like
than the reality, which is that they cut her scenes because she's controversial. Now,
one is like that she's controversial for like social reasons. The other one's that she's like bad at her job.
Do you think she's hard to work with?
I don't know.
I feel like she might be one of those people who is like a nightmare in private relationships, but in her professional relationships, she's tolerable and good humored.
And we don't know necessarily that just because they don't have chemistry doesn't mean that she's hard to work with. I mean, sometimes people just don't have good chemistry on screen. That's not hard to believe. But it says Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom stars Jason Momoa. Lack of chemistry with Amber Heard caused her role to be reduced in the upcoming film, Heard's agent claimed on Friday. Heard's agent, Jessica Kovacevic, I'm going to say.
Once again, you should know this.
I should know this one.
We are shaming you. Branthovic.
I am with the last name like Dasovic. I should absolutely know that, but I don't. So, virtually testified in the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial on Friday. Johnny Depp says she believes that the negative light on Heard due to the ongoing conflicts with Depp greatly impacted her role. Depp's ex-wife, who was first cast in 2017's Justice League, and then made her debut in the Aquaman franchise as Mera. The following year, Heard's agent testified that the star was contracted to make $2 million on the sequel, which was already concluded filming and is set to release in March of 2023. Kovacevic, I want to say Kovacevic, but I don't think it is that, continued her testimony claiming that Warner Brothers' reason for reducing Heard's role was due to a lack of chemistry between her and Jason. She went on to say that Heard received the news of the reduced role as she was reading the script. So
I'm confused by this because wouldn't it be advantageous for her agent to back up her claim?
You would think so, right?
And now she like that her role has been reduced because of Johnny Depp. That backs up her countersuit against him. So is she like pissed at her agent right now for like calling her on her BS or what?
So the original question was, is this a power move or not?
Yeah.
So in a way you can consider it because it's like, no, we chose to be less involved.
Yeah.
Because in that way you have agency over what was happening.
Yeah.
The other is that, you're so unlikable that this is why it's happening to you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in terms of a PR direction, it isn't the worst I've heard.
I feel like it would be both. I think if I were Jason Momoa and my co-star was embroiled in a controversy about being an abusive B-word, I wouldn't have much chemistry with her either.
Yeah, it's like you don't want your what's going on in the public to affect your opinion of them, but it might be hard not to.
The trial wasn't happening while they were filming, but it was already publicly spoken about that this was, their relationship was like abusive, either direction. It was already being talked about at the time, so it must be uncomfortable for someone to have to work with someone who is so volatile, maybe.
And this isn't the first time I've heard these rumors. Like, this has been something that I've seen articles of in the past, which is why I was surprised that it came out as news now. It's only coming out again because it's being said in trial on deposition. But I had heard rumors before that they didn't have much on-screen chemistry. But I actually want to ask the question before we move on. Do you think, is it possible that in a lot of ways bad chemistry in movies is a result of just the culture we live in now and the way things are with men and women in society?
If you had real chemistry, then you would get Me Too'd and Offset?
Or you're scared of, okay, so I had a list here that I thought was really funny from BuzzFeed of all places that lists like a bunch of people that have like poor chemistry with their co-stars.
Dirty Dancing, famously.
Yes, that's one of the examples of older movies where this happened. Most of the examples on here, at least the ones that I recall very vividly, are modern movies, and I wonder if it's just the fact that it's like...
People are like robotic nowadays, and they have intimacy coordinators.
Yeah, like if you've got people coordinating every aspect of every interaction in the most pivotal emotional moments in the scene, how can you expect to really develop a connection that is broadcast very well, that comes across on camera, which I can imagine would be very, very difficult.
Like, no, you can't touch that part of her leg. Stop, cut the scene.
You were supposed to touch the top of the kneecap. You went up to at least the top of the calf, and we are going to have to talk to you after.
Your career is over, sir.
You are done.
That's here to stay. Like, if you guys remember like one of our past conversations, like who should be in the writer's room, at this point, 2 lawyers maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Just have lawyers do all the acting. Just that way they can just work out the legalities after the fact, and then we can worry about it then.
That'd be an incredible suggestion. Like, I mean, it's probably that way anyway. Just a bunch of legal students that didn't make it.
I do like this. Like, one of the movies listed is Jennifer Lopez and Owen Wilson, which I can imagine. Like, I can't imagine them ever having chemistry ever.
Why would they?
Especially in like 2022. Natalie Portman and Chris Hemsworth, famously in the Thor movies, have about as much chemistry as like a box of rocks. There's literally nothing there. And then most of the other ones that I've seen here are modern movies.
But the thing is, like, as an actor, you're supposed to be able to work through that and still make it believable.
Yeah. I imagine that because it requires two people that it's harder. Like, maybe one can really pull that off, but the other one can't, and then it bleeds, it feeds into your emotional, like, it's going to come across. You're not going to be able to fake it if you can tell that the other person isn't. Like, you can fake it yourself, but as soon as you see that the other person can't, it's going to affect your ability to do so because it won't translate.
Well, the whole thing is that it's not you, right? Like, you're literally everyone but yourself at the moment.
Yep. So you would think, Scarlett Johansson, Mark Ruffalo, Ashton Kutcher, and
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Scarlett Johansson just went so high up my list of cool people.
Well, I mean, having chemistry with Mark Ruffalo seems like that would actually be really difficult.
That's what I'm saying. It'd be straining on
I
relationships.
think I remember we watched what was the movie with Ryan Reynolds, the one that was that came out this year, the time travel one. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but Mark Ruffalo plays like his dad, but like back in time, and Jennifer Garner is his wife in that movie, and they actually had like fairly decent. Yeah, I can't remember.
Wait, I thought that Jennifer Garner was in a movie with Mark Ruffalo before that too. Was it 13 going on 30?
Yes. Okay. So that's why maybe the chemistry carries over from knowing each other.
Love that movie.
In those movies, somebody in the comments will have to let me know. I can't remember the name, but it was a really good. It was a really wholesome like family movie involving time travel.
You know what's funny about these two is that Amber Heard is probably the girl that, like, one of the girls that pretty much every guy unanimously, like, yeah, she's pretty beautiful.
Yeah.
And Jason Momoa is absolutely that for women.
Well, yeah.
And yet,
oh my God,
you're gonna rip into me.
Well,
I'm sorry.
You're the first I've heard, and so it's
really?
funny.
What? Hold, really?
You're actually mad now?
I need
knew
to
that
know.
You would be like, what?
I need to know. Okay. We can't fix her. Go on.
But and then you put them in a room together, and they're like, nah.
Nah.
Like, I'm not her. I don't know. It's funny.
Well, when you've got that many options, when you're Jason Momoa and you've got all
both
the options,
of them do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
it's
two people with all the options can't get along.
Yeah, basically, they can't figure it out.
That makes sense.
Did you see the article about Amber Heard stole sexual abuse story? Said former personal assistant.
Wow.
Yes. So it says Sasha Wass, who from Heard's defense team, asked James if Depp had made any influence in the decision of giving the vicious evidence against her client, to which she said very clear, absolutely not. So what she's saying is that it wasn't coerced testimony. Says, can you explain why you take exception to Miss Heard's allegations against Depp? James answered, and that's because her name is Katie James. I apologize. And I apologize, guys. I'm like trying to do like 9 things at once today, so my reading's even worse than normal. So please bear with me. We are going to figure this out together. So it says, can you explain why you take exception to Miss Heard's allegations against Depp? James answered, because Miss Heard referred to a conversation we had about me being violently raped at Machete Point in Brazil, and she used it as her own story. Sorry, too late now. R-worded. She referred directly to a violent R-word that occurred to me 26 years ago, and she twisted it into her own story, and she used it for her own use. And then down here says, James also mentioned that Heard would regularly send drunk text messages between the hours of 2 and 4 in the morning on a regular basis, on an almost daily basis. James categorized the messages as being abusive.
Wow.
Yeah, but like if you're a personal assistant and it's like your job to like basically take care of that person's life, like when do you get time to like when do you have any time that's yours and just yours, right? Like, and if she's sending those texts and that does to me sound like somebody in chaos, like all the messages late at night, things like that is absolutely somebody who's going through something. But, sometimes people are just broken in a way that allows them to, or doesn't allow them to see that they're affecting the lives of others.
This is sort of a continuation of like the conversation about Amber Heard replaying movie scenes in court.
Yeah.
but just slightly, changing the wording around so that it's not detectable.
I wonder if
She's replaying the personal story that someone else has told her as if it's the same as a movie.
which is kind of evil.
That's super messed up.
That's very
Yeah.
evil, if you ask me. Like that's freaking weird.
Mm-hmm.
And it says she replied. Oh,
she
go ahead.
told her assistant's story.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like to me that's evil. That's like it's like imagine like you hear the story about military vets and stolen valor, and the idea of people who claim that they've done something that they haven't done when they haven't experienced that. Imagine that as the survivor of something as traumatic as what
And
happened to her assistant.
It's interesting to me that someone who works for her would tell her something that personal and like painful. It kind of shows that Amber Heard might be the type of person who makes someone feel very safe and being vulnerable, and then lashes out later on them.
I mean, he
for
left
doing
his
so.
family for her, clearly there was a point where, things were amicable.
Uh-huh.
He was like, this is the good choice. This
Well,
is what.
Also, for the assistant though, she's also remember she was like a spokesperson again for women's domestic violence and stuff like that. So maybe she was in the business or in the process of doing things for those organizations, and thus the story came up with her assistant, who's like, "Look, this happened to me when I was very young, and I have a lot of respect for what you're doing, championing these causes." And then she has to have that like punch in the gut to have it turned around and used
Yeah.
against her, and that's to me that's evil. Like if you ask me,
If true, I don't know.
we can't, we can't say
We
that
can't
for sure.
know, but
But and also the other thing I thought was really interesting, it says Johnny Depp gets support from a women's abuse organization, and that seems like almost like if there was like a symbol that the tide is officially turned completely around the other way, whether for the right reasons or not, we'll never know. But it says, as the defamation trial between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard moves closer to its conclusion, there have been more people getting vocal about which side they believe based on the television proceedings. It is really insane to me that it's like on
I
television.
still feel like these nonprofits and public figures,
Thank
thank
you.
you, don't really care about the truth of the situation. They're just saying what they are expected to say
Yeah.
in the situation.
It does.
And it's just disingenuous. I don't like it.
It does feel like a lot of it is like people feel like they're socially able to talk on the topic now.
Yeah.
So they like now from now on for the rest of society, we're going to have to wait for like the consensus to fall on every issue before you decide whether you're allowed to talk on it or not.
Yeah, like I got the carrot and the stick in the right timing, and I'm a good little, slave to the narrative.
I'm a little more black pilled on this.
How so?
Because I've been a big advocate for like the whole the vibes are changing stuff until that one guy that ate too many brunches in New York made vibes lame.
Wait,
Well,
what?
He went to brunch cafe with his non-binary roommate named Sock.
It's just this video of a guy.
Oh.
Hey guys, this is what I do in New York. I get drunk, I do brunch, and then I got drunk and do brunch, and then my head hurts and I do brunch. I don't know. It's like psychosomatic.
I should show
Okay.
you this later.
But sorry. Anyway, so I forgot the point I was gonna making. This brunch guy just like
The vibe's
ruins-
changing. Vibes changing.
It made you
Right.
so angry.
Thank you. It did. So the vibes are changing, but like now I just feel that any other man in this situation but Johnny Depp would have been like lit on fire.
Yeah. Well,
Like it's like this only worked for him because it was literally Johnny Depp, the guy that was in every woman's poster in their room, and it had to be this cartoonish looking, and she had to look like a Barbie. Like all these things had to happen for him. But I just don't see that your regular Joe Schmo getting a women's abuse group support. Which honestly, like that aside, like props to them, because these are people that are consistent with their values, and they're being like, hey, this isn't good in any direction. So
the name of the organization is Mission NGO, which is founded by Valeria Altobelli. The international nonprofit organization has released a public statement in support of Depp. Violence is a serious topic, Altobelli said in a statement. As women, as mothers, we have the duty and the responsibility to educate our sons and daughters. That is to say that the future generation, in light of the values of dialogue, respect, and compassion between men and women, without any gender distinction, in order to prevent violence with the weapons of love and education. This is kind of like what I've been looking for like the last couple of years, is like some type of return to like the middle. Meaning like back in the day, they wouldn't single people out by groups to promote, social justice causes, they would talk about general terms, things that all people could get behind, because it's naturally divisive just by virtue of the way it's done, singling out specific groups either in or out. So this seems to be a more neutral take on that. And that's really, I think, what most people are looking for, is a sense of finding their way back to the middle and away from a divided one side is good, one side is bad approach to this.
I see it as like a dual economy, and some people are striving to return the economy to like normalcy of, merits and all these things. And there's some other people who have realized that it's kind of breaking news, clickbait, economy. And those people will say the most obscene, untrue, unfalsifiable things, for that CPM money.
Yep.
I guess we've got both extremes of the black pill, white pill spectrum here.
I'm not happy to be here.
Wait, am I the white pilled one in this situation?
All
my point was that I would like to see more attention paid to not singling out groups. I don't really think of that as white pilled, nor do I think of that as something that I think is going to happen on a regular basis. I think this is a very specific case involving a very unique time in our history.
Yeah, it's like we were saying, you're allowed to dunk on Amber Heard, not on other women who have patterns of abusive behavior. You're allowed to support Johnny Depp, not other men who have possibly been victims of domestic abuse.
Get it out of your system now.
Yeah, because you're not allowed after this.
Because your brothers are still going to get it, you know?
Yep. Well, also, they're and this is one of those rare cases where so much evidence has come out to show that she was, that maybe people just couldn't ignore it any longer.
Cartoonish is what I'm saying. It's so cartoonish. She was literally like, "Who's gonna believe you?" Smack. And that's literally how it had to happen to America's greatest star.
So imagine being Jason Momoa. It's he doesn't know whether he believes her or not, but it's got to make it hard for him as an actor to be able to do
get
that.
Out of his perspective on her as Amber Heard.
Yeah, exactly.
And look at her as a character.
Yeah, my queen.
He's you got the red hair, you got everything going, but all I see is just no one's going to believe you.
Yeah.
I want to sleep in that pillow later.
Yeah. Super chat. There was at least one super chat there.
Yes, there was. Someone named Hulls in the Kid said,
I know who that is.
For the spicy Latinxes on this fine Monday afternoon.
One of my favorite people in the whole world. Hulls in
That's
the Kid.
one person on this stream, and it's not Dane.
I don't know who Dane is. Who's Dane? Dave.
Yeah,
Dave.
Dave.
Oh,
yes.
Sorry, dead named.
Dead. Sorry, buddy.
Get a lawsuit on Thinkcast Media for that one.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.